This is a video message aimed squarely and directly at all Tailspin fans, whom I think all Tailspin fans should be made aware of. Many of you will be shocked and surprised at what you are about to see and hear, so let's start from the very beginning. In early 1990, Disney released Tailspin, a 4-part limited edition comic book series that captured my attention and my imagination. It was also during this time that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were phenomenally popular.
Ninja Turtles, heroes in a half shell, turtle power.
But it was Tailspin that impressed me the most.
Let's begin.
The limited edition series proved to be so successful to Disney, they eventually commissioned the comics to become a monthly publication. The television series eventually followed soon after, several months later, with the first 4 episodes, Plunder and Lightning Part 1 to 4, based directly on the first 4 issues. In total, only 11 issues of the Tailspin comic series were made, with Disney cancelling the comic series roughly 1 year after it began. Despite that, the television series continued to run, even long after the show had ended, with repeats filling in for several more years until eventual axing. Here in Australia, Channel 7 continued to screen repeats of Tailspin until they stopped showing them in late 1999. It was also during this time, in mid-1990, that my mother purchased herself a brand new car, the Honda Concerto in manual transmission. The car was eventually handed down to me 16 years later. It was my first car. In mid-2001, Pearl Harbor was released in cinemas, directed by Michael Bay and produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. The story was panned universally, but the action sequences were astounding. The people who worked in that movie did an astounding, incredible job creating the action scenes. I remember sitting in a movie theater truly stunned by the aerial photography, the attention to detail, and the epic scope and scale of things that I began to wonder, this is what Tailspin would probably look like if it were a live-action movie. And really, that's where the idea all began. I remember buying the movie on DVD when it got released, and I watched the action sequences repeatedly, again and again, endlessly, thinking to myself, I'm convinced a live-action Tailspin movie can work. Replace the animated setting with a real-world setting, and real locations, take out the animal cartoon characters and replace them with human characters but keep their names, and it will work. Many fans would disagree with tinkering around with a much remembered franchise and instead would much rather prefer an animated Tailspin movie on the big screen. That's understandable. But if you're going to watch it on the big screen with the big sound and the animation is no different than what you've already seen, then you're not breaking any new ground and you're not giving us anything new, so what's the point? In late 2001, another movie was released in the same vein as Pearl Harbor. Have any of you ever heard of the Czechoslovakian film Dark Blue World? Again, like Pearl Harbor, I was extremely impressed with the attention to detail and the scope of things. Dark Blue World only reaffirmed my beliefs that a live-action Tailspin movie was possible, that it can be done, By this time I was convinced it would work. The problem was, what would the story be? Given both Pearl Harbor and Dark Blue World, I had hoped that someone professionally at Disney had the same idea as I had, and realized this after seeing both movies. And so I hoped that one day my dream of seeing a live-action tailspin on the big screen may be realized by someone else.
Come in, Sky Captain. This is Sky Captain. I'm on my way.
In late 2004, Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow was released in cinemas. The story was okay, nothing to get overly excited about. But again, the action was truly exceptional. I remember watching it and thinking, now is the time for a live-action tailspin movie. And why not?
Colonel Frankie. Did you read come in? Hang on, Dex. I'm a little busy.
Can't anything ever be simple with you?
I see it!
The aerial dogfights through New York City were spectacular. It reminded me of the finale in Thunder and Lightning Part 4, when Baloo attempts to outrun several fighter planes through Cape City. And that's when I got another idea. The pilot miniseries, Thunder and Lightning, Parts 1 to 4, would make an awesome story for a live-action tailspin movie. And slowly I began imagining over the next few years what it would look like if it were real. And I thought, somebody has got to come up with this movie. And yet still I waited and hoped that someone would come up with it.
And lo, the beast looked upon the face of beauty, and beauty stayed his hand, and from that day forward, he was as one dead.
In late 2005, King Kong was released in cinemas. Remember the finale with Kong on top of the Empire State Building, battling it out with the biplanes? Again, it reminded me of Tailspin. I remember thinking to myself, this is incredible. A live-action Tailspin movie must be made. It has got to be made now. That finale had such an incredible, immense effect on me that I realized only after I saw the movie. It's been 4 years since I last saw Pearl Harbor and first got the idea for a live-action Tailspin movie. Disney could have come up with the movie during that time, or at least written a script, so I figured, I'm tired of waiting for someone to come up with a live-action Tailspin movie, or at least a script. I really would like to see it as a movie. And so I thought to myself, well, I may as well come up with the script myself. So I got busy soon after.